Welcome to Student TV. I'm Kristiana Perris. On today's show, we have a bunch of documentaries to share with you. We hope you enjoy these videos made by our very own Sacramento County student video producers.
When I see people people talking about other children, I just say you shouldn't do that. You see someone fall and you just imagine how you would feel if you fell or were bullied. You want to help them.
Social emotional learning, to me, is the learning that goes on around the foundational skills that help people to be successful in life. And yes, academics are very important, and we focus on academics, absolutely. However, academics without the ability to relate to other people, self-awareness, the ability to plan and complete projects is not enough. And we know to be successful that our students need all of those social emotional learning skills as well, those competencies.
Social emotional learning, or SEL, forms the foundation for school, college, career, and life success. It's the essential element to all successful relationships. SEL is defined as the process by which kids and adults acquire key competencies to build self-awareness, such as knowing your values, strengths, and weaknesses, to regulate and manage emotions, to build social awareness, such as empathy, to build positive relationships, and to make ethical and responsible decisions. In Sacramento City Unified School District, we're collaborating with the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, or CASEL, to systemically implement social emotional learning across the district. Our goal is to systemically integrate SEL into instructional practices, embed into academics, expand beyond the classroom, and to explicitly teach the skills using evidence-based curriculum such as Second Step and School Connect.
Michelle Blanton, and I work at Leah Tata Floyd Elementary, and here we really focus on our instructional practices aligned with social emotional learning. One of the things we found that is highly important is our relationships with students, and we work really hard to make sure we build relationships with them inside the classroom and outside of the classroom.
Social emotional learning skills are essential for student acquisition and access to Common Core learning standards. The standards call for students to be able to engage in math conversations, critique other people's work and thinking. And in order to do that, students need the conversation skills and conversation starters of how to appropriately agree or disagree or challenge or tell another student what the strength of his or her thinking is or the weakness of his or her thinking. So social emotional learning addresses those critical skills that allow students to engage in the kinds of learning conversations they need to have in order to be successful with the Common Core. Certainly without social emotional learning skills, math conversations won't go far at all. You can imagine a student just shutting down, being told their answer is stupid or that makes no sense, as opposed to understanding that you need to encourage through language by saying such things as, I see your point, but I'm not sure how you're arriving at this conclusion. Or part of what you say I agree with, but there are parts with which I disagree. Certainly, the kind of conversation that ensues would be far different.
Students will be leading their own conferences, and it's super powerful as we're moving toward the Common Core standards that students are actually selecting their work that demonstrates their understanding of the standards, and then also selecting and keeping and tracking evidence of meeting the standards and also meeting their personal and academic goals. So they really have ownership for their learning process here at Centerville. On Monday mornings, we have a Monday morning meeting, and we talk about we work with the 7 habits of healthy kids, and we talk about one of the habits. Today was seek first to understand, then to be understood. And we talk about what that looks like in the school setting, and we have songs that we sing and to make it fun. And then our leadership council actually does announcements every day over the intercom and talks more about the 7 habits.
Don't let anything bring us down. We got to work together, change things around. Proactive every day when I take the time to remind myself that I am young and I am positive on the future. I'm gonna tell it like it is.
Is the key. Responsible decision making is where we're out in the community, making good choices about our personal and our social life.
Is very important to me because I have a child with Down syndrome. He's in full inclusive practice, and without the SEL, I believe that he wouldn't know how to work through his problems or learn how to cope with his anger issues, deal with his problems, deal with any situation that he has here at the school with other classmates, teaches him to know how he's feeling, mad, angry, happy, sad, and I believe without it, he wouldn't know.
You find out that there's ways that they can communicate and say things that can not only diffuse the problem, practicing different methods that they've learned and what they can say, and we generate lists and which ones are positive and which ones are positively negative.
So at Oak Ridge, I know that a big philosophy that we have is that social emotional learning, while academics is always obviously important, that's the purpose and fundamental reason why kids come to school, I would stress that social emotional learning is probably 51% important versus 49% academics. So slightly more important because as kids maneuver through the path of college and career bound and getting ready for future jobs and everything like that, it's how they are as people, how they interact with other students in their classes, apply for a job, all those things are going to, their social emotional learning is going to be the key ingredient that's going to help them be successful.
Second step, I learned that you could tell if somebody's if they're hurted by your words or not. Say if somebody's shriveling up and trying to move away from you, but trying to talk to you at the same time, that means that they're uncomfortable with you talking to them that way.
What I've learned is that if you're just standing there when you see someone getting bullied and you start laughing too, you're part of the bullying. But when you step up and say something to the bully, stop messing around with him or her, you're part of the solution.
Well, in this class, I learned how to handle conflict between, family, at home conflict, conflict between relationships with my girlfriend, and conflict in school, how to bring my grades up, and how to really apply myself in a really professional manner.
After second step, we see far less incidences of that. We find that students are catching themselves in situations where they have more power than they felt like they did before, or they're able to reflect on how they could have solved a problem differently, and that might not have been happening as often before. So we've definitely seen a change and improvement.
Well, it's helped me because I had a little sister, and I've been mean to her, I gotta admit. And when I learned the SEL skills, I try to put it in practice with my family. And what I've learned too from my teacher is that even though they're just your family, it doesn't mean you could still treat them bad. If they're your family, you should actually love them more.
I've always had a problem with teachers, but since I've joined this program, I have no problem talking to them and communicating with them.
Ideally, our students are going to go on to college and career things. Then they learn how to socialize with other people and be part of a team, be part of a system, so they can be successful and effective in life.
I truly believe that children and adults learn best when they know they're cared for and they feel supported and are given the tools they need to make that next step forward.
My name is Luke Delcour. We're at Winston Churchill Middle School, and my video is Plagiarism. The message is really to stay on top of your work and always be aware of the due dates, because stuff like this, it can sneak up on you, and when it does, it can be bad, and sometimes it does look as if plagiarism is the only option. However, you should always do your own work. And I filmed all the scenes, which was quite the experience. And then I also took the main role as editor. My name is Luke Delcour, and you should watch my video, Plagiarism.
Miss Ray assigned us an essay on the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota, due at the end of the week. I knew I had to get started. I wrote down the essay in my planner because I knew I had to do it. After class, I asked my friends how they thought the essay would be. Ali and Yusuf thought that it would be hard, but Mairead and Turner thought it would be easy. I, for one, thought that it would be a very challenging essay, and that is why I procrastinated. My friends were willing me to come with them, so I followed them. I wasted an entire day hanging out with my friends. My friends were planning to finish their essays tonight. I, for one, hadn't even started. It was yet another day wasted. I waited till the last minute. I thought I was out of options, so I went to the internet and copied. Little did I know I would actually get caught.
My name is Noah Katumbusi Wavrin. I go to Del Paso Manor Elementary, and I made the video, Our Beloved Mr. Bob. The video is basically about Mr. Bob and what he does to help our school. Like, he cleans up the messes at the school, and he just basically makes the school a better place. I like creating different types of camera shots. I like just filming in general. I want to keep going with movie making, and that's incredible. To be able to create movies and snippets in our classroom using the technology provided to us.
He is the smiling face that greets you each day.
He tells funny stories at lunchtime.
The cafeteria is spotless because of him.
You can count on him to get the job done.
Basically what I do, I clean up the messes that happen at the school. Hi, my name is Mr. Bob, as the kids call me, or my full name, which most people don't know, is Robert Lynn Young. I have been here at Del Paso Manor for 29 years. That's how long I've been at this location, at this school.
Mr. Bob empties the trash with a smile on his face, even after so many years.
I've known Mr. Bob since I started working here 10 years ago. Bob is very busy every single day. When I first come in the morning, he's busy getting the school ready before all the students arrive. He cleans the cafeteria for breakfast and lunch, and we get several calls in the office every single day asking for Mr. Bob's assistance. I don't think everybody realizes how busy Mr. Bob is.
Well, when I get here in the morning, I set up the breakfast tables, get ready, open up the school, open up the gates for the school, make sure that it is basically safe around the area for all the students to be here. Once the kids come back in and we have breakfast in the morning, after the kids get out from breakfast in the morning, I've cleaned up the tables, get that ready, set, ready to go.
I get calls from the classroom asking if he can help because the projector's not working, a telephone's not working, maybe a desk broke down. He even gets calls if students get sick in class and is asked to come clean it up. Classes run out of paper towels, they call the office. Mr. Bob is always super friendly, courteous, and efficient, and he rushes to the classrooms and makes sure he takes care of all the students and the teachers.
Things occur what don't sometimes get to take my 30-minute lunch as said, but maybe I'll get 10. Wolf down the sandwich and go back to work.
One day, Mr. Bob was helping us set up banners, and he got out this huge ladder, and then he started balancing it on his back, and it kind of looked like it was just like hovering there. But then he told us how he did it, and it was super cool.
My name is William Ruggles, and I made space exploration. My purpose in the video was the filmer and the narrator. Being able to use Final Cut Pro was very cool and satisfying.
Three, two, 1. We have liftoff.
But first, the history of people and space. The ancient Egyptians believed that a goddess, Nut, was the sky. They also believed that Ra was the sun. The Romans named the planets after the gods. A few examples are Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, and Venus.
Now, into the modern era. I will now teach how a rocket works. Don't worry, it's not rocket science. Oh wait, it is. Rockets work mainly off of chemical reactions. They are, in fact, quite simple. The top two compartments contain either fuel or an oxidizer. The middle contraption is a pump which pushes both the fuel and the oxidizer into the main compartment, called the combustion chamber. In the combustion chamber, both the fuel and the oxidizer mix, exploding out of the bottom. So now you may be thinking, Okay, but how does the propulsion work in space? Well, it wouldn't have any air to push against. The rocket works on the third law of Isaac Newton. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The way this works is that the force of the gas pushes the rocket away, which is the propulsion. Speaking of propulsion, remember those 3 rockets under the shuttle? Those are to help propel the rocket to 75,000 miles per second to escape Earth's gravity. But after those are out of fuel, they drop back down to Earth as a dead weight.
On to how humans explored space. One of the first spacecrafts to reach space was Sputnik 1. One of those memorable missions was the Challenger, but it ended in tragedy. Apollo missions 11 through 12 and 14 through 17 landed on the moon successfully. One of the most recent trips to space was by the Orion spacecraft. In fact, there is a spacecraft landing on Pluto later this year. In the future, many more explorations are to come. Until then, goodbye.
My name is Hannah.
Boys and girls, what do I have in this envelope here?
I like being in front of the camera.
Most people get their mail from the mailman, but we get mail from our pen pals by Doggy Express.
This is our Doggy Express mail carrier, Clipper. When our pen pals at Prairie Elementary School send us letters, Clipper delivers them.
Seeing Clipper makes pen pals fun.
Boys and girls, what do I have in this envelope here?
When Clipper brings letters from our pen pals, our teacher reads them to us, and we listen quietly. So does Clipper. And then we work on our letters. We draw pictures. We write stories about ourselves. We help each other get our letters ready to send to our pen pals. When we're done, Clipper is always ready to go.
So, if you get a pen pal someday, maybe Clipper will deliver your letters too.
The freedom and prosperity that we enjoy would not exist without the service of generations of Americans who are willing to bear the heaviest and most dangerous burden. But we also know this: the contributions that our servicemen and women can make to this nation do not end when they take off that uniform. We owe a debt to all who serve, and when we repay that debt to those bravest Americans among us, then we are investing in our future. Not just their future, but also the future of our own country.
You may be thinking, Just what was President Obama talking about? What did he mean by the future of our nation? Well, let me introduce you to Sammy, a high school senior with quite the experience with what we call the GI Bill. Originally named the Servicemen's Readjustment Act in 1944, this bill was created to provide a range of benefits for U.S. war veterans. But what about the families behind these servicemen and women? The wives, the sons, the daughters, the husbands forced to live their lives in separation from the ones they love.
My name is Sammy Mike, and this is my story. I would say January of 2007, my life completely changed. My dad so graciously enlisted in the Army Reserves. By January of 2007, he was deployed to go to Baghdad, Iraq. I know that 2007 was one of the hardest years in the war. He would barely call. We would barely talk to him, maybe once a day for like 2 or 3 minutes sometimes. And my mom was having a hard time because she never thought that she would ever have to be a single parent. And here she was having to raise me on my own, going through what was hard enough for her just to be separated from her husband.
We understood what was going to happen when he was gone and what would happen while he was gone and how to adjust to life when he got back. Many times the military pay was less than the civilian pay that was my husband was getting. Doesn't quite make up for the income that was lost from my husband's civilian job. There was a military code that was passed in California in which we got to defer our mortgage for 6 months. We didn't have to pay.
Thanks to various amendments to the GI Bill, families across the nation have been able to afford their monthly payments. On top of that, every child and spouse of a United States serviceman or woman has the opportunity to gain a reduced-cost education, fostering the growth of our nation's next generation of innovators, of thinkers, of peacemakers.
I'm class 2015, whoop whoop. I'm so excited to be able to use it to pay for college, and wherever I go and whatever I'm doing, it's going to be such an amazing opportunity. And even though, yeah, my childhood might have been a little bit simpler with him home, yeah, that's true, but I wouldn't change anything for the world. I wouldn't change my story for anything. Thank you for listening.
If you'd like to get your video on Student TV, make sure you enter the SEVAs, Student Educational Video Awards. Entries are due in early March each year. For all the details, please visit secctv.org. Thanks for watching.